Well, everybody, we get a lot of questions that come in regarding short-term and long-term rentals. And there's a little confusion, Simon, in terms to how they differ. And there's a lot to know. And you do both, but you also agree that there's many organizations out there and companies that specialize in one or the other. Mm-hmm. And I think this is a perfect opportunity, of course, to introduce our next guest, who really specializes in those, short-term or people that are coming to Toronto, but they're not sure where they want to live. They need a place to stay. Could be for a month, could be for 3, but the point is they want to test the marketplace out first. They want to understand where is the right fit for them to live. But then there's also people that come here and say, I want to, have a vacation in Toronto for a month, or maybe for the summer.
And there's corporate relocations as
Absolutely.
well. Absolutely. People get stuck in between closings. There's all kinds of different situations.
Well, we have the perfect lady that's going to talk more about what her company does and also educate everybody on how this whole thing works. So if you want to do it yourself. So we have Michelle White, and she's the president and owner of Today Living Group. So welcome to the program.
Thank you.
We actually can call you one of our, experts. You've been here before.
Returning faculty.
Returning faculty. I like that. And of course, always with a beautiful smile. So thanks again. So let's touch upon, what you do in your company, what it specializes in.
Well, we have, as you know, several sides to our company. We have a furnished side and we have an unfurnished side. And what I mean by that is we are a property management-based company that looks after condominiums for the most part, owners who have purchased a unit and want to maximize their yield, revenue. And sometimes it's a furnished option that we would recommend for them. There's a big difference in the market between an unfurnished suite with furniture in it and a corporate furnished suite. Huge difference. I often am asked, as a matter of fact, recently, last week, I was asked by someone who had a multiple group of units who said, I've got some units. Would you take a look at them? And, perhaps you'll give us some assistance. And it was, it's great. We often get these inquiries. But then you look at the suites and they're bare bones. They are furnished. Not furnished for our industry, and that's the difference. You can't just put furniture in there and expect it to work, not if you want to get your maximum yield. And small things such as furniture is actually 66% of the cost of making it a corporate furnished suite. The rest is everything else that goes in there, such as if it's a brand new unit, in particular from developers put on base paint. They put on a primer and one coat of paint. It's not washable. So how are you going to handle a corporate furnished suite? The first guy that comes in with a suitcase
and bashes the wall.
That suitcase bumps up against the wall and you've got this black streak and, you'll never be able to get that out. Right. So, just by being smart, relocating some of the outlets, putting in electronics. People aren't going to bring their own TV. They're not going to hook up phone and cable. That has to all be there for them.
So what they consider to be a suite that's furnished is not the same as to what you consider for your company mantra, is how it should look, what your clients have become accustomed to.
Absolutely.
And it's almost pretty much imitating what a hotel would provide. And if you look at hotels, there's a standard palette. It's fairly neutral, non-offensive, but there are certain expectations. Granite counters, electronics, everything is where it should be.
But the accessibility of feeling like you're at home, that you have the luxury of the things that you would typically have at home. So it's a home away from home, really, because a hotel can get pretty old really quick. As the days go by, that pool's not so wonderful anymore.
Sure.
The view, well, okay, great. But, the whole process, you just don't want to do it anymore. So you're offering that alternative.
Absolutely.
What we get a lot of questions about, and Simon will attest to this, and he does do a lot of these short and long-term rentals, and his team. But they don't understand it is a business, and one in which when you get into it, you need to understand the rules and regulations no matter how and what you're doing.
Yeah, and you also need to understand that your customers are customers.
Right.
That you need to be grateful and treat them
and
like
respectful
customers,
and appreciative.
Yeah,
and,
the big mistake we see landlords makes is, treating the tenant like they're doing them a favor. No, they're doing you a favor. They're writing you a check every day or every week or every month.
Yeah, which means at the end of the day, you have a job to do, which is to make sure that you service them. When we're talking about these, temporary arrangements. Now, I know, for example, Simon, I'm going to give a difference right now. Simon, when you're looking at doing rentals, it's a month to month. I mean, you're doing monthly rentals. Michelle,
we don't touch the short term.
Yeah.
It's just there's too much to do and there's too much to know. It's not lucrative to do one-off, and that's why you have to look at companies like Michelle's that do this en masse and understand, the business and understand the volume aspects.
Okay, so as a realtor, you're doing that month to month. So typically your contract will specify, the month component. Where Michelle, you actually do it by the day. And then you'll specify how many days that is. So your rate is by the day, where Simon will quote a monthly rate. You're quoting a day rate, but then you're saying if you're coming for a month, it's this.
Yes, but one very important part we want to disclose right now is under no circumstances do we do or should anyone else even consider anything less than 30 night stays. Two reasons. Number one, that's not our business. That's not what corporate housing is all about. And we're in condominiums. There are rules and regulations. And going beyond that, I mean, if MPAC ever catches wind of anyone doing short-term, and I mean short-term is less than 30 days, do you know you could be subject to be reassessed, not at the residential property tax rate, but at the commercial property tax rate. That's 4 times higher, possibly. So you may go from $3,000 to $12,000. I don't think it was worth doing that daily rental. What do you think?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, so there's a big...
Even if it is your cousin from Milwaukee that you've never met before.
Yeah.
But the other thing too is, I mean, don't some condo boards actually limit it to minimum 90 days or minimum 6 months?
Or even a year.
Or a year,
or even
yes.
a year. So you have to be careful. You have to understand the condo rules for each individual building.
Absolutely. When our company first goes into a condominium, first thing we do is obviously you want to look at the rules before you even consider doing corporate furnished. Then we go and meet the team that's in the building, i.e. the property management team, and then hopefully the board, and explain who we are, what we do, invite them in, see what we're all about, because it's that unknown that everyone's afraid of. And that's often why condo rules get changed in a building, is because A, someone wasn't doing it right, and B, it wasn't disclosed properly what they were doing. So by following the rules, filling out the Form 5s, making sure that, yes, each resident is going to abide by the condo rules, that the rules and regulations are clearly posted within the unit. Those types of things are all important.
And involving everybody is very, very smart. I mean,
Absolutely.
Be nice to the security people, because these are the ones, they're the keepers of the gate.
Well, let's talk about the difference in the forms then, if you don't mind. Simon, typically you're doing a lease agreement when you're doing something that's 30 days or beyond. Michelle, you're not doing a lease agreement. What forms do you use?
It's called an accommodations agreement. It's a blend of between what you would sign, and I hate to use the word hotel because we're not a hotel. We're a hotel alternative, extended stay. However, it's a document that's not 8 pages long like our leases are. They're 2 pages long. And it clearly states, what we'll provide, what we won't provide. And most importantly, it is disclosed many different ways that the building is the building for them to use, but for anything that they need or require, they would call our office, so they're not coming down and using the infrastructure of the building, i.e. the security, my such and such is broken, or property management. We don't want to tax on those areas that shouldn't be, they should never be involved in the corporate rental guest. They should be totally going back to the company in which they're dealing with.
Yeah, we have people going to concierge and asking if they can help them get theater tickets, and they don't understand. And it's not the occupant's fault. It's just it wasn't really properly explained. Because normally when you stay in an executive furnished, or if you stay in a hotel, for example, there's a concierge. You go there. Where do I get my dry cleaning? Where's the best pizza? Where do I get theater tickets?
Right.
Well, that's not the case here, and you're right. You don't want to mess with the existing infrastructure and risk annoying the parties that be, especially the condo boards. And the condo boards are always a mixed bag as it is.
Right, for sure.
Different personalities, and
so let's touch upon this then, Simon. I mean, you are always busy in the sense that there's always somebody needing to get into a place for whatever reason. So there's no seasonality in what you're leasing, component of your business. But Michelle, is there a seasonality? Are there differences from month to month? Are there busier months than others in your business?
Yes, April through October, definitely the busiest months of the year. Typically, this year's been a very unusual year. It's been good all year. But typically, though, April through October are high season. And what I mean by high season is, yes, occupancies are high, but also we can charge a little bit more. So if you're using a nightly rate, let's say on a standard 1-bedroom downtown, you would go maybe $120 up to $130 a night, something like that.
Okay,
Again,
so what does that work out? Simon, you're
nights.
so quick at the math thing. So an average place that Michelle would be renting out for the month, you're looking at around $3,000, $3,600?
$3,600, $3,750.
And Simon, something that typically that is a standard rental, whether it be a condo or whether it be a home?
Unfurnished would be half of that, but it would be unfurnished, and it was typically minimum of a year.
Okay.
So it's not that much more to get a furnished rental if you need the executive rental shorter term. When you budget in moving in and out, figuring out furniture, electronics, painting, decor. I mean, these are all
having somebody at a phone call away
that can call
to basically deal with whatever. I mean, there's some that makes sense to me. I'm kind of liking this whole idea.
You might even get the odd divorced person that ends up on the sidewalk with their suitcase. I'm sure you get those calls too.
Yeah, actually, and you're gonna laugh. There's certain times of year where that business spikes, and it's just after Christmas.
Wow,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Arguments over the visa bill.
Let's go back to the rules and regulations for a moment to both of you. I mean, Simon, you're responsible. I mean, you have a code of ethics that you have to abide by, of course, being a broker. So you have to abide by those rules or else somebody will rat you out and you'll get in big trouble.
Yeah.
Michelle, what about you? I mean, do you have the same kind of rules and regulations? Is there a membership of something that you're involved with? Where do you go?
Yes, there is. We are a member of CHPA, and that's Corporate Housing Providers Association, and that's a global association. It is based predominantly in the U.S., but we are across the world, and any reputable corporate housing provider will be a member of this. And they will also have, hopefully, staff that are dealing with their clients that are also, they have their designation. So they have, they've written the exams, they've studied, and they follow the rules and regulations that we all have to follow. Minimum 30 nights is a given. You cannot bend that rule. But there's also standards, level of standards that the suite has to have, level of standards as how you treat your client, paperwork that's provided. So there is a set rule that should be adhered to. So it's not haphazard in any way, shape, or form.
Now, Michelle, before we wrap up, I mean, Simon, you and I had a chance to look at this. This is wonderful. I mean, you're giving us a spreadsheet just showing, for our interest's sake, as brokers, what it is that you're including, what you look after, and giving a good idea of your monthly rental incomes and all the things that typically a person would have to look after themselves. But it's all built in here that
Absolutely.
You look after. And one of the things that people forget about are just little things like insurance. You want to be covered. You want to make sure that when you're staying at a place that no matter what, you are looked after. You don't have to worry about that, especially if you're from another place. It's just more peace of mind, the better. Is that right, Michelle?
Absolutely. And many owners, because it's not their own personal residence, they think, the insurance there, it's often the forgotten piece of the puzzle. One of the services we do is we provide bulk insurance, bulk utilities, bulk all kinds of things for our clients so that they can, obviously enjoy a much more reasonable price on everything.
Everybody benefits.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. I love it. I love ingenuity. I love the fact that, of course, you're a successful businesswoman. That just really makes me so happy. And we love having you here at the Real Estate Talk Show. So let's remind our viewers and listeners, if they want to actually access you and say, hey, is my unit ideal for this? How can they get a hold of you?
They can call our office. They can either reach us at 416-213-8881, or they can email us at info@todayliving.group.com.
And what about your website?
www.todayliving.group.com.
All right. And Simon, I'm also going to just remind our listeners and viewers too that they can reach out to you at any time in this particular situation as well, because you'll not only help them and direct them to Michelle, because you guys do work together, but I think at the same time, it's a great opportunity that if they want more information, if they want to understand before we pass them on to Michelle. So of course they can visit realestatetalkshow.ca or call a help desk anytime, 416-366-9090, and you can ask for Simon.
Absolutely. And, if you're looking for information on leasing, as is, furnished, or you're looking at this as a possible investment, because, turnkey furnished executive rentals offer fantastic returns, especially when somebody else does all the work.
What a dynamic duo you two would be. I'm setting you two up. I like this. This is great.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Love it. Love it when people do well and help people. So well done.
Have to have you back. Thanks again.
Thank you so much.
Great job, Michelle.